Welcome to Orange County Power Players, where we spotlight the personal, professional, and financial success stories of OC's top leaders. Here's your host, Danny Flores.
Welcome back to OC Power Players, where we interview some of the most successful people in Orange County. Today's honored guest is Cyndee Woolley, zooming in from Jacksonville, Florida. I'm thrilled to introduce Cyndee, a strategic communications leader whose career spans more than 25 years of helping organizations forge authentic connections with their most important audiences. Cyndee is the founder and CEO of C2 Communications, a consultancy that has become renowned for delivering integrated PR, marketing, and community outreach solutions across both government and corporate sectors. Beyond her consultancy work, Cyndee is the host of Cutting Through the Clutter, a podcast where she shares insider insights on effective communication in today's complex media landscape. She's also a published author. Her book, Building Brand You, offers practical guidance on personal branding and professional development. Today, we're going to dive deep into her perspectives on leadership, strategic thinking, and what it takes to build lasting impact in an increasingly noisy world. Cyndee, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Danny. It's my pleasure.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about how you got started with C2 Communications.
So I've been in marketing and PR for 25 years now. I'm hitting that quarter mark in my career, but I was actually working for a commercial general contractor when the recession hit in 2007, 2008, 2009. Mm-hmm. And, we were very fortunate at the time to know, have a pipeline of construction projects. And I had a, very insightful leader that I was, learning from. But I saw the writing on the wall, and I knew that, I needed to find an opportunity that was going to help me build the life that I love. And so I'd always wanted to try being my own boss and, running my own company. And, the recession gave me the kick in the can, so to say, to make it happen and jump in. And I tell you, May 1st, 2009 was my launch date, and I have loved running the business ever since. So you can never look back, right? An entrepreneur spirit, once you get that freedom, you're like, no more clocking in. I work all the time.
Yeah, exactly. That's so funny. That people sometimes think that being an entrepreneur is glamorous and you can take all this time off in the world and you can just relax, when it's actually the opposite of that. Like your 8-hour days and your 40-hour work weeks have no boundaries anymore. Sometimes you're working late to try to get a contract drawn up for a potential client, or you have to deliver something by 6 o'clock in the morning, or just all kinds of different things that can happen.
You gotta be there, and that's I really had invested a lot of time in building my brand, and building my community network before I launched my business. So, a lot of people, when they're considering taking that jump, they get anxious. And obviously at the time I was, a mom, I had a toddler, a single mom, and, failure just was not an option. Mm-mm. But when you invest in building that brand and telling your story beforehand, before you need it, when you need it, it's there. And I can remember I literally flipped my social media channel and got a call that day from my first client outside of, the general contractor that I worked for. And, it's I've been very blessed that everything's come the way it has. So I really love storytelling and diving into what makes people tick and how businesses are influencing, and
Right.
what's the story behind the story, and how your business grows.
Right. But see, the recession in the 2007 era made you make the move. You saw that you weren't secure, so you figured, I'm going to go out and secure something for myself. But then we also got COVID in 2020. And I think that was also a catalyst for many people as well to make that move. But how did you manage that? Because that's like a kind of like a punch in the face in a sense for a lot of people. Like, okay, what do we have to do here to survive through the COVID part of it?
The shift to online and remote work actually freed up a lot of time for me, because instead of clients had expectations of driving to every meeting, right? Which cuts 30 minutes here, 30 minutes here, 30 minutes here. It adds up and reduces that productivity. I was fortunate that I had a solid pipeline of business, and as a couple of projects dried up, new ones came online. And during that time, I actually expanded and went from, local community work into some international work. One of the most interesting projects that I picked up, though, was an event ticketing platform called Ticket Search that was launched out of Australia, expanding into the U.S. market literally a few months before COVID hit. And wow. I tell you what, to talk about adaptability for them, here they went from, it's something akin to Eventbrite, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You go on a website, you buy a ticket to an event, you get it emailed back to you. You can put it on your Apple Wallet and whatnot. But really figuring out how to run those virtual events at the last minute, you invest tens of thousands of dollars into the platform.
Right.
And then you got to invest even more because all the events have canceled and they're all going online. And I'm still working with Ticket Search today. They've expanded from Australia into North America, into Europe, into Asia at this point. And wow. It's a fantastic opportunity, fantastic story of resilience in the most trying times. So.
Yes, I think many of us, right? We all switched to the virtual meetings. And that's a big game changer for all of us, because we can literally sit on our desk and do one meeting after another every 30 minutes or whatnot, and really get a lot accomplished during the day versus, like you said, driving to meet physically, even though that's still nice to be able to do that sometimes, to meet people face to face. But the virtual meetings really allow us to be super efficient with our time.
I love it, and then it's a love-hate relationship a little bit. I think from a public relations standpoint, we're so used to like seeing the impact and shaking hands and events and so forth. So I gotta shake myself out of the office quite a bit just to go reconnect with people.
Right? Yeah. You still have to go to events. I think those are back for the most part. They've been back to do those. Yeah, shake hands, the old school style. Talk to people, look at them in the eye, but then you do that. But then your business can be actually done online.
Exactly. Yeah, and that has given me a lot more freedom in my day. And it's given me a lot more freedom. Like one of my goals as an entrepreneur, I'm probably sidetracking quite a bit, but when I launched my business, I said, I really want to be able to work from anywhere, and I want to see more of the world, right? And so having a daughter who's a ballerina, when she was doing ballet intensives growing up, I was able to just pack a computer up, pack a suitcase, and go work from San Francisco for a month, go work from Tivoli for a month, go work from Colorado Springs. We've really had some grand adventures as part of it. And so I think, that entrepreneurial drive has got to be really balanced with quality of life and the things that inspire your soul.
Right, 100%. We have one life. It's good to know what we want out of it, and it's good to be able to do it, basically. Right, having that flexibility. Now, with C2 Communications, tell us a little bit about how you help companies move along their journey.
Sure. Everything that we do from a communication standpoint starts with looking at the strategic goals. What are the goals that we're trying to achieve? And then we map out a way to get there. But, when we're looking at goals, is it drive more leads? Is it influence a vote? Is it drive brand awareness? Just build that visibility.
Right.
And, then we'd go in and do the research of who are the audiences that are going to be most likely to take action, and what's the best way to get there.
Right.
I think when I launched my company, a lot of communications professionals were really still segmented into we do PR, or we do marketing, or we do social media, and it was these silos. But I took an approach of using integrated communications and integrating, a combination of, all right, we're going to use press, we're going to use some traditional marketing, and we're going to use that social media to really drive the most efficient impact. And so you saw the pendulum swing that way, where everyone was into integrated communications. But I don't know. I'm feeling a little more silos as I'm talking to other professionals out there. I think the silos are creeping back in as people really cling to one tool or tactic over the full strategy. And I just can't overemphasize the importance of, really knowing what that strategy is and pushing through that, strategy to make sure you get the results.
Why do you think they're pulling back? Is it because one strategy with 100% focus is giving them the best result and without the diversification? Or what do you think is the cause of that?
I think that some of that probably came from COVID, honestly, because, from a PR standpoint, a lot of that was, events and media and press, and now people are using content marketing more so than, traditional press releases and traditional media relations, and businesses are using content marketing, and
right.
They feel like they're building their own channels, and their own avenues to get there. And you cannot be an expert in everything. You can be an expert strategist, but you cannot be an expert in TikTok and LinkedIn and
that is
print
so
mailers,
true,
right?
Like, it's like so much to do. It's like how do you cover it all?
We're so fragmented in, communications that, fragmented in pushing things out in so many channels. I think that it's very hard for a small business to manage, right? And I think there's a total justification for really focusing in on one channel at a time until you get it right. But we often work with companies that are pursuing multiple goals and, multiple audiences, and we can repurpose that content. And AI is changing the game yet again, because you can now hyper customize that content per channel with a couple clicks and the right prompts, right?
Yes, it's all about the right prompting to be able to get the right results
For sure.
on the AI. And I think everybody is using AI now. And so to be able to learn to use it and make you that much more efficient to get everything done quicker.
I was very against AI because I at one point, like a year ago, right, going, oh my God, you can always see an AI generated press release. It's terrible. I had a couple people say, can you push out this press release? I generated it with my AI bot, and I was like, it's terrible. No, I'm not going to touch it, But once you learn how to prompt, once you learn the tools and how to really manage the tool, you can get some powerful results out of it. And from research to outlines to brainstorming, I don't think it can't replace the expertise of the individual, right?
Correct.
The experience, the knowledge that there are so many factors that AI can't take into consideration. But man, the people that can figure out how to really leverage the power.
Yeah.
Game changer.
That's the ticket, right? That's the ticket to be able, and it's something that we all have to learn because AI is here. It's not going away. It's like the old .com era when the internet barely started. We all, ended up getting sucked in and using it, basically. Like literally, right? You get sucked in. I remember the old fax sounding machines when you actually connected to the internet, and now like we're connected 24/7.
Oh gosh, yeah. If you open the screen and you're not connected, you're having a heart attack now, right? Like
Yeah. Your phone, everything is just like crazy. How far we've become. So imagine AI is going to do that, and the younger generation, the millennials and younger than them that are born with it and using it at their fingertips, they're going to be really good at it. I think it's easier for them to learn because that's all they know. For us, we have to learn to use it in a different way. It takes us longer because we have other things that we know we have to maybe undo or overlap with that.
How are you maximizing AI in your business?
We see our business is more based off of numbers. So we still have our accountants that do our accounting for our projects that we do. You still have to have the knowledge to be able to give direction to contractors. You still have to have the knowledge to be able to make tweaks on whether it's the advertising to be competitive in the market for renting the units out that we do. But for smaller tasks, we can use it. We can use it to help us maybe do research, to help us maybe write outlines, to create SOPs, something like that. But we're not as intense on having to have AI for production because it's a little bit different for us. But it's still learning, right? Still learning and how to write when we have to write things. Create procedures potentially for some of our staff, but not too crazy. I don't in our world. I don't think anybody will get replaced because of that. But I know there's like, say if you're a developer, and imagine if you're in college learning how to write code and you have an AI that can write code 1,000 times faster than you can. It's like, what do? I can see potential frustration in the younger generation trying to figure out, okay, I have to scramble and I have to change my major, or I have to learn something different. I got to figure it out. It's tough, I think.
I think you're also going to see trends right now, with influencers, right? You've got Gen Z is struggling to find work. Yeah, Gen Z is, looking to be an influencer, and, the model of an influencer is changing with AI, because you're not just competing with other influencers, you're competing with AI tools creating content, AI tools scraping all of the intent data that's driving people to your page. So you're competing on a much broader spectrum now, and there's backlash too, because people who are on social media, they are tired of seeing the ads, and they're tired of scrolling through and it's ad after ad, or content influencer saying the same thing after the same thing.
Right.
So it's going to be an interesting dynamic to see how it influences, Gen Z and where they go. But of course, my daughter's an artist, right? So there will never be an AI ballerina on the stage. And
well, don't say never. Have you seen the robots? I mean,
I saw the one fall over.
Yeah, those robots are getting that good. Playing basketball and just doing stuff that would just definitely be interesting in 20 or 30 years from now. See where it's at. I know we have the technology is just so advanced. The air taxis and whatnot that they're working on, that'll be interesting in how that all kind of unfolds. You have Waymo, that's self-driving cars that's going to compete against Uber. It's like, what's going on? What are we going to do?
We're gonna get fat and lazy and think.
Right, exactly. So that's interesting, and how it's all developing, the future.
I do go back to that intent data, right? So like for your digital advertiser, and you're going into Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, right? And you're plugging in, I'm targeting these people, they're interested in this topic, all of that intent data is in there. And so if you express interest in, I talked about this with an advertising professional the other day. I was searching for cat litter boxes, an automatic cat litter box. So, of course, I did the search. I got fed 100 videos of influencers and advertisements on every freaking channel for cat litter boxes.
Yeah.
Well, after I had made the purchase,
they still kept going
for a month. And I was like, oh, that's so much wasted ad spend for these people who are just trying to make a commission, just trying to earn their dollar, right?
Yeah.
So too much data can diminish the results.
Yeah. They should know that, right? They should fix the algorithm and say, okay, she bought it. Cyndee bought it already. She's done. Don't send any more. Maybe you buy a second one. Maybe that's what they're after. So tell us a little bit about your book.
So Building Brand You, I wrote Building Brand You, over 10 years ago. And I wrote it because people were calling and asking me, this is post-recession, right? Like, how do I stand out? How do I keep my job? How do I really stay relevant? And for years, people have been asking me, can you do a 2.0? Have you thought about like building brand new for the real estate professional, building brand new for the entrepreneur, breaking it down. So, all right. 2026, there will be a new book that comes out. It's not going to be Building Brand New 2.0, but it will be the next iteration of, how to build your brand and how to stay relevant in the next generation of communications, right?
Yeah.
How to stay top of mind when your ideal prospect is getting hit with thousands of pieces of data on a day-to-day basis. And comes back down to connection, right? Commonality.
Yeah. Right. So that'll be interesting because this edition will be so different than the first one because everything's changed so much.
Oh gosh, at that time I was telling people like, this is what a Facebook page is, right? This is how you get onto LinkedIn.
Yeah.
This is how you get there. And now it's how do you put out expertise? How do you demonstrate your expertise without defaulting to the AI prompt?
Right. Yeah.
Got to be more than just the AI prompt. It's got to be you,
Yeah, exactly. So as we get ready to wrap up, what's in store in the next 6 to 12 months? 2026.
2026, man. I think, I think you're going to see a shift back to, genuine, authentic connections between people. And I think that the longer format content is going to really, be that ultimate tool to help people shift. And so, I'm excited. I'm planning the next phase of my podcast. It's been an amazing journey for 2025, but 2026 is going to be cutting through the clutter 2.0. It'll be the next wave of amazing guests and insights and opportunities. So I'm really excited to see, what the future brings.
Amazing. So Cyndee, if somebody's listening and they'd like to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you?
Definitely. The easiest way is to go to the website. My website is c2-com.com. So it's c2-com.com. You can also search for me on LinkedIn. Just beware, it's Cyndee and Woolley, Woolley. But I'd love for you to connect on LinkedIn, and I'd love to hear from you directly through the website.
Sounds good. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show. And to our audience, please go to ocpowerplayers.com and follow us on your favorite channel. Thank you, Cyndee.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Orange County Power Players. Want to share your success story? Apply to be a guest at ocpowerplayers.com/guest.